Hey everyone, welcome back to day 10 of the Reprogram Yourself Challenge. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited that you've committed to truly showing up to do the work to transform your life and to see how much deeper it goes than just saying positive affirmations. Yes, those are helpful, but there's a lot of things that we really need to do, a lot of tools that can really help support us in transforming our life. And when you start doing these things, you can realize that you actually start manifesting on autopilot what you desire because you're really cleaning out all of that gunk that's in your unconscious mind. So every single day so far, I've really gone deeply into a tool or a technique to really help you do this. And it's been very do this, da 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 da, do what I say, da da da. Today, I'm taking a different approach. And if you truly start doing this, you are going to see how quickly your life transforms. And this is something like, because I'm giving you such deep tools, this is why this program is not going to stay a free challenge. Actually, after today, after I drop this video, because this video alone will change your life, it is going to become a paid challenge. So I know I said it was going to be 30 days for free. If you're in the challenge already, you will continue to have it for free. If you didn't sign up for the challenge, you will have to pay to get in it, because this video today is something that if you genuinely do, your entire life will change. And this is something that will help your entire life. So this is not going to be as formal as the other videos have been. Like, I'm not walking you through a practice. I'm not going to be doing a technique for you. I'm going to be giving you a different way to view and to really reframe the things that are happening in your life, so that way you can see every situation as empowering. Really going to help you to start having a solution-oriented mindset rather than being somebody who's problem-oriented and always looking for problems and always seeing problems and always assigning negative meanings. Because one thing that we do as humans is we assign meaning to everything. And inherently, there is no meaning. In the universe, everything is neutral. Everything is neutral. Think about money. There are so many people that have negative meanings and negative associations when it comes to money, but it's like, why would you even want to do that? Because money is a tool to get you everything that you want to get. You can assign a negative meaning towards it, but don't be surprised when you don't have a lot of it. Or you can assign a positive meaning towards it and you're going to have a lot of money, right? This can literally, we can use this in any example in our lives. And when you understand how to reframe things in your life, you're going to see how much you shift. Really going to help you to stay in your power. Because a lot of people have this victim mindset and mentality where life is happening to them, things keep happening to them, but ultimately you are assigning the role of the victim. Or you are assigning yourself the role of the successor. Like, you are assigning these meanings. And yes, maybe some of them have been societally programmed, or maybe they've been programmed from your family, from your parents. But at the end of the day, you are a grown-ass adult. And you get to decide the meanings that you assign. No one else has control over you unless you give them control over you. And when you actually start reframing when things are happening in the moment, you are actually going to strengthen and build your emotional intelligence, so that way you're not reactive to things that are happening to you. Because how many times has something happened in your life and you went and spiraled out? You assign this negative meaning like, oh my God, my life is over. I don't know what to do now. It happened from anything, right? This could be from somebody breaking up to you, to losing a job, to having your car break down, like whatever it was. But then you look back years later and it's almost laughable, because you're like, that really, like, that wasn't a life or death situation. I just like made it mean something that it didn't have to mean. And I just stressed myself out for basically nothing. Like, remember, your ego loves drama and trauma. And so your ego is always going to be driving you into situations where they're dramatic. So that way you keep living in your comfort zone and never growing and expanding and evolving. But when you actually are able to have a different perspective on things, when you actually start looking for other meanings, when you actually start looking for ways that this is actually supporting you and how is this happening in your favor, you are going to naturally create a more positive mindset, a more solution-oriented mindset. You are actually going to see opportunities versus looking for problems. Because a lot of the times people are constantly looking for problems, and they're noticing problems, and they're noticing the lack, and they're focusing on everything that's going wrong, and then they aren't available for solutions. They aren't available for opportunities. opportunities. They aren't available for ways that this could actually be supporting them and helping them, and really finding that they have a growth mindset because they're always looking for opportunities to evolve. They're always seeing everything as an opportunity. They're never assigning a negative meaning, which is a fixed mindset, and playing the victim because they don't have time for that. They're too busy seeing how this is actually going to benefit them, seeing how this can actually help them, even if it wasn't what they wanted. Can you find in every situation how it is helping you? Because I'm telling you, this is going to take your power back so that way you feel more empowered, and it's actually going to change the mindset that you play into all day long. But if instead of assigning negative meaning, you started looking at how this is helping you, always extracting how it's empowering you, always looking at the solution that could be found, always seeing, instead of seeing it as a make or break situation, what if you never saw it as a break situation and everything was just making you, everything was just strengthening you to become this person who's always showing up in their power, this person that isn't getting taken out by things that are happening outside of them, is seeing how this can help them and then moving, because they're not getting stuck in this fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, dysregulating their nervous system because they assign this negative meaning, they see it as life or death, and then they have so much on the line, they see it so seriously that they don't move. This is where a lot of people live the majority of their life, because they don't know how to actually see things as happening for them and be moving in alignment with that. How we frame an event and how the situation plays out, the specific frame that it's in, really dictates a lot of how we see something. So I want to use an example from my life that you are going to so it actually locks in what I'm saying, and you'll be able to see this throughout your own life, and you can see how actually very easy this is to do, but you can see how things that you almost take for granted, you're already seeing it in a certain way just because it's happening in a certain place or during a certain situation. So when I was in 9th grade, there was a Halloween dance that I went to. And just so you understand some backstory, I always loved makeup. I went to cosmetology school when I was 19 years old. I was in theater. I won the theater award in high school. I was in every single play. If I wasn't, I did the backstage. I did the makeup. I did the hair. I did the costumes. It was one of my favorite things in the world. And I really loved special effects makeup. I was damn good at it. At one point in my life, I was a zombie for over 10 different Halloweens. I'm really, really good at gory makeup. So I'm telling you this because all of these details matter. So just follow me if you're like, what is she talking about right now? It's all going to make sense. So for this Halloween dance, I dressed up as somebody who had gotten struck by lightning. Now, I had blood dripping down my face, there was a cut on my head. I had bruises all over my body. I had my hair teased out, big 80s style teased out. There was black sprayed in it. I looked like I had dirt all over me. I had literally burned the clothing that I was wearing. I was in this white wife beater. Are they still called that? Is that still PC? I was in a white tank top, and then I had these gray sweatpants on, and they were both burned, they had been ripped up. I got them all dirty. I went full out. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I don't do anything with low energy. We're always all the way in. So, and I also had flip-flops on. The kind that you just that's just the thing between your teeth kind, those old school kind that I don't think anyone wears anymore. But they weren't slides, they were flip-flops. At that time, I was dating a guy who was 6'2", 6'3". I've always really liked tall men, that's always been my vibe. I was at most 5'2" at this time. So I was over with my group of friends. He was talking to the guys right here. I was talking to the girls, and I could see him out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't really paying attention to what he was doing. My boyfriend at the time and his best friend started roughhousing, and his best friend pushed him. And my boyfriend lost his balance just because he was a really tall dude, and the other guy was short, but he was kind of thick, so he just caught him off guard. Now, I wasn't paying attention, and I was behind him at this point, and he tried to catch his footing, and when he did, he stepped back, and he essentially just stepped on my foot because I was in those foam flip-flops. So I have a very high pain tolerance just naturally. And so I didn't really think anything of it. And everyone was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like the guy who pushed him, nicest guy in the world too. He was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I laughed it off. Then I went to take a step and they literally had to catch me because like I was falling, like flat on my face, was going to fall. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And it was really dark in there. End up putting my arms over their shoulders and they like limp me out. Like we go out and we look down in the light and we can see that he had stepped on my pinky toe, and my pinky toe was literally, like, no joke, no exaggeration, forming a right angle to my foot. Come to find out, he had completely separated my pinky toe bone from my foot bone. This was before I was diagnosed with my celiac disease. So like I broke a lot of bones playing sports because I played a lot of sports back then, but we didn't know that my bones were so brittle because of my celiac disease. So that's why that happened, in case you're like, oh my God, like that's not a normal thing, but my bones, they be weak. So like obviously my toe is forming a right angle to my foot. I have to go to the hospital, right? So my dad comes, he takes me to the emergency room. And you know that if you're in America anyway, you know emergency rooms take a long time. Gotta love for-profit healthcare, right? I have completely forgotten what I look like, right? Like my foot is kind of throbbing now. Maybe like 3-year-old turns around, little boy, and he's like, and he starts staring at me. And his mother goes, honey, stop staring at her. She's obviously really hurt. And in my head, I'm like, what? It was like literally just my toe. Like this is not a big deal at all. Completely forgetting what I look like and that I've got blood and bruises all over and all of the things, and they look very realistic. So realistic that even to the point when the doctor came into the room, he gasped because he was like, oh my God. And I was like, no, it's just my toe. It's just my toe. But I tell you this story because think about somebody who looks like they got struck by lightning going to a Halloween dance. No one is going to think anything of it. If anything, people are going to come up to you and be like, oh my God, you look amazing. You did such a good job. Oh my God, like you're going to win the contest. There was a contest that I was going to win that night too. Anyway, but when you go to the hospital and you look like somebody that got struck by lightning, people are like, oh my God, like that poor girl, like look at what she's been through. The only thing that changed was the environment, right? I went from a school dance to a hospital, but the context completely changed. Tell you this story just so you understand how much the framing of a situation really plays into it. When we are looking at the frame, though, we're super zoomed into the present moment and we have more of a fixed mindset because we're so wrapped up in what's happening, typically what's going wrong. But when you're actually able to zoom out and you're actually able to not just automatically assign a negative meaning, but you're actually able to look for how this could be positive, how this could actually have an empowering meaning. And then you're actually looking at the different meanings that you could assign instead of just automatically assigning one and then letting that control your thoughts and your emotional reaction and your nervous system, whether it's regulated or dysregulated. You actually get to really look at it from a really zoomed out lens, which is what we do when we look back on a situation after it's happened, right? What I want you to start doing is 2 different things when situations happen. And before you automatically assign a meaning, before you automatically start freaking out, start getting dysregulated, I want you to actually practice having control and having power in those moments. So there's 2 things that you're going to be doing now: context reframe and a content reframe. Let me explain what those are. A context reframe, it's you asking a question of how could this be useful? How could this situation be useful? How could this event be useful? How could whatever's happening, quote unquote, to me actually be happening for me? How can I find that this is actually going to give me something valuable? Maybe it's learning a lesson. Maybe it's strengthening your willpower. The idea in the context reframe is you are looking at how you can find positive meaning to assign to it. So instead of looking at all of the ways that this is going to mess up your life and how you're ever going to go on from this or whatever it is, you're going to start looking for positive meanings that you can actually see how this is supporting you, how it's helping you to evolve, how it's helping you grow, how it's helping you to be a stronger person, how it's helping you to be more resilient, whatever it is, you're going to start looking for ways that this is actually helping you instead of, and trying to never assign a negative meaning, because negative meanings mean that you don't have power and situations and circumstances and people have power over you. And that isn't true unless you're giving your power away. The second thing you're going to start doing is the content reframe. Asking yourself, what else could this mean? Your brain is automatically going to assign a meaning based on past evidence and the programming that's installed. So this is why I always tell you that you have to be conscious, right? Because if you're not being conscious, your unconscious patterns, behaviors, habits, beliefs, they're all going to be playing out because they're installed into you. In order to install them differently and change the way that we see life and see ourselves, we have to start being more intentional, more conscious. So when you instead say, what else could this mean? You are one, zooming out naturally from the severity of the situation. You are taking yourself out of the present moment where it's happening to me, and you're actually zooming out to see all of the ways that it could be happening for you and what other meaning actually assign, so that way you're really seeing all of the different ways that this really could mean something else. And you actually start collecting a lot more evidence of how it's supporting you, how everything is always supporting you. You hear all the time in the manifestation community that everything is happening for you or everything is happening through you. Nothing is happening to you, because that's a victim frequency and that's a victim mindset. That's a closed, fixed mindset, which means you're not evolving, you're not growing, you're living in an egoic state where your ego has full control. It means you're living mostly or fully unconsciously. Because you're finding other meanings, you're actually neutralizing the event, so that way that event isn't so powerful that it has power over you. You're actually saying, wait a minute, before I go with this one assigned meaning, I'm actually going to extrapolate and see all of the different meanings that I really could choose here. And that keeps you in your power, right? Because you're saying, wait a minute, that's not a meaning I actually want to go with. That's not a story I actually want to hold on to. This isn't the way I want my life to go for me. How would I rather it go? What meaning would I rather apply to it? What story would I rather tell here? How do I want this event to go for me? Looking back, how would I want this event to go? How would I want myself to respond? How would I want myself to react? How would my most empowered self react here? Would they react at all? See how completely life-changing this one thing can be? And it seems so simple, but it's a lot easier said than done, right? Like when you're actually doing this and applying this and in real world events, you're going to see that your nervous system does get dysregulated with things. But can you have the emotional intelligence to regulate your nervous system and not react and respond, not assign meanings when you're in a dysregulated state? Do the work to regulate your nervous system. And then when you're in a normal, natural, neutral state, you can then start looking for positive meanings. You can then start looking for how this is happening for you. You can then decide all of the different ways that are actually available for you. So in every situation, you always have control over how you are showing up. And this is why you'll hear me say a lot, it doesn't necessarily matter what's happening outside of you. It matters how you are responding and reacting. The beautiful thing is here is once you start doing this, you're always going to have this seed in your mind that you actually get to decide how things go for you. You actually get to decide what meaning this has here. You actually get to decide how you show up regardless of what's happening outside of you. And the people that do this are the ones that are so empowered, that are always successful, that everything is always working out for, not because they're lucky, quote unquote, but because they are actually doing the work to show up as their most empowered self instead of allowing themselves to play a victim. And quite honestly, it's super fucking easy to play a victim. Anyone can do that. But what is actually more powerful is you standing in your power, you being grounded, you having high emotional intelligence, you always deciding how life gets to go for you. And so once you do this, you would never go back to playing the victim, because you can literally feel yourself going there and you won't even entertain it or allow it. Let me know how this one goes for you. I'm so excited to hear all of the transformations. And I just want to put this out there. So this is literally now going to be a paid event. So if you are in the program and you already signed up for the free event, you will still have access to all 30 days. And then immediately after the 30th day drops, that's when you will lose access forever. Now, if you are somebody that's in my AOMU membership, you will have access to this. If you are somebody that wants to have these videos and to keep using them and to keep referring back to them, you can now join for the lowest price point. So there's now going to be an option for you to sign up for this challenge on my website. If you join now, you will get the lowest price point. Once the 30th day drops, it's going to go up at least $200. So if you want to have these videos, make sure to join the paid program.